Alrighty. Today is Thursday, May 10th. It's 10:01, and I'm going to ask you all to please rise so we can do the invocation and the pledge. Madam Clerk.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please be seated. And if you could just take a moment to silence your electronic devices, cell phones, that would be appreciated. At this point, roll call, please.
Councilman Jeff Starkey. Mayor Domasek. Councilman Lance Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Ron Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Moore.
Here.
Commissioner Catherine Starkey. Commissioner Mike Wells. Commissioner Jack Mariano.
Here.
Mayor Neil Hernandez.
Here. And I do know Dale Massad, as well as Councilman Starkey, did express their regrets they could not be here, and I believe Commissioner Starkey is going to be a little tardy, but will be here. This is the portion of the meeting for public input. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board this morning? I see a hand. Familiar face. Good morning, and name and address for the record, please.
Somebody had to be first.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chairman. My name is Ted Schrader, 31306 Pasco Road, San Antonio, Florida, 33576. It's good to see everyone again. I am here today to speak to you about an intersection in the San Antonio area that I'd like to see if I can gain support to have the MPO board direct staff to maybe do some investigation to possibly make some improvements to it.
Madam Chair, the mic's not on. Nobody can hear. You guys turn the mic
I don't
on.
think it's working.
It's not working.
I just asked that a minute ago. I thought it...
Sorry,
Sorry.
You just couldn't
No
hear
worries.
it. But
Can you hear it? Oh, yes.
There you go.
we go.
There you
Let's
go.
try that again. Do you want to just start over, not the name and address, but the just what the
Sure.
request is?
Good morning. Name Ted Schrader, 31306 Pasco Road, San Antonio, Florida, 33576. For those of you that drove to Dade City today from the west, you encountered the intersection where State Road 52, College Avenue, and Pompanic Street come together. It's a very challenging intersection because you have 3 stop signs, you have a yield sign, and you have a caution light. As the population and traffic has increased, it's become exceedingly difficult for a lot of the traffic to really understand just exactly what they are supposed to do. Traffic circles are something that I think DOT has explored the possibility. It's my understanding that they're actually investigating a traffic circle at Happy Hill Road and State Road 52 intersection. So I believe that a traffic circle at this particular intersection would provide obviously a great deal of relief, some clarity coming through the intersection. Just this morning when I was coming to the meeting, someone pulled the stop sign, and rather than turn left or go straight ahead, they turned right into someone that was in the yield lane. So it happens each and every day at that particular intersection. So I'm here just simply to request that the MPO board provide direction to the MPO staff to work with the Department of Transportation and maybe take a look and see if a traffic circle at that intersection would be an appropriate fix, because obviously we all know this county is continuing to grow, traffic is continuing to increase, and for someone that grew up in the San Antonio area that's had to drive through the intersection each and every day, I think that it is warranted, and it's probably much more economically efficient than trying to put in traffic light there. So respectfully would request that you provide that direction, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions, comments, Commissioner?
I understand that intersection, and I think that'd be a good idea for them to research that to be a circle. And
Perfect.
It would. People are confused when they come into that area there, where they don't know whether they're supposed to stop or go straight or turn. Either issue, it's a problem, and it has been. It's going to get more because you're going to have more traffic.
And I appreciate you saying that. St. Louis University, you know, they have a traffic calming circle as you come onto their campus, and You know, if it'll be challenging because you have 2 municipalities and 2 city councils to deal with, as long as some others. But I think the Department of Transportation is one that can maneuver that and try to provide some relief out there. So any help would be most appreciated.
I
Commissioner
think
Mariano?
probably,
Oh, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I think probably we'll have to look at it as a county, because that road's gonna change to County Road 52 when we do the realignment, so we'll have to work with DOT to make sure it's worked out right.
Right,
It's
and just-
DOT right now.
Commissioner Mariano would like to address.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
And I think we should do it quick while DOT still is involved.
And I do know that the roundabouts, I know we've been talking about that in Dade City and in Trilby area, so yes, it is something, and I know it's
yeah.
gaining with safety, which is one of our top priorities. I think if what I'm hearing is we'd like the staff to work with DOT to,
Does that need to be in the form of motion?
yeah, do we need an official motion for that? Or consensus?
I'll make a motion that we look into the, making of that of a circle entryway.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So thank you, Mr. Schrader, for that, and we'll move forward with that. Anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, we will move on to the advisory committee reports, and we have the infamous Ms. Kelly Miller here to talk about the CAC. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the minutes. Oh, yes, thank you. We have our minutes from April 12th. We've received those. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections?
Then I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Moore, for that. Appreciate that. And now, Ms. Miller, our CAC report.
Good morning. Kelly Miller, 5020 McCaslin Drive, Newport Richey, Florida, 34652. The CAC met on May 2nd at the West Pasco Government Center in the basement training room. We actually had a really large group in attendance, and we met on the new staff person, Ross Kelvin, from the Bike Ped Department. Our minutes were not available at the time of the meeting, so we will approve those next month. We received the MPO board report from your April 12th meeting and had an extensive conversation about the 5456 task force and the US 41 SR 54 intersection. We approved recommendation of the 2-year Unified Planning Work Program, as well as the MPO PL agreement for fiscal years 2018-19 and 2019-20, and the start of the 30-day comment period for the TIP. We love the public participation plan update. However, a few suggestions were given to help with the presentation. I will let Dr. Randy Stovall share the good news, but the MPO-CAC also concurs with all the exciting things that they're doing. And then lastly, I was most honored to share that our committee has given the recommendation for me to be appointed to the T-BARDA CAC. I hope with your approval, I will be able to serve Pasco and keep all of you informed with regional updates. Thank you for your hard work, dedication, and service to Pasco County. Do you have any questions?
Questions for Ms. Miller? Thank you very much for the
Thanks,
update.
Kelly.
Thank you.
At this time, we have Dr. Stovall with VPAC, and I believe, is Ross Kevlin going to join you at some point here? Or? No?
You want to introduce him?
Well, I got his name next to yours here, so that might be a good thing to do.
So, good morning, Randy Stovall, and I'm real happy to have a new bike planner with the county, Ross. And you're going to get to talk to him later. He's got several agenda items for you, so.
Well, this is great face to see. All right, thank you.
So, we met April. We had an interesting meeting. One of the things that we talked about was something that you all had a presentation on, I think at your last meeting. DOT presented on the proposed roundabout at 98 and Trilby Road. And BPAC members voted to endorse that project as a safety improvement. And so that was a good thing. We had quite finalizing discussion on our bylaws. And so I think the bylaws, as presented to you, you have that as an agenda item today as well. I think that reflects the things that you had asked us to do. Hopefully it does when you review that. And Ross will talk you through that. We also had some interesting discussion from members about the proposed solar energy farm on Blanton Road. And after a lot of discussion, we voted a motion that we'd rather not see it, and that's because people are saying it's not as visually attractive as you ride your bike as it is now, recognizing it may in fact be built. then the backup is, if it is built, we'd like to be sure that construction of that doesn't preclude the improvements on Blanton Road to make it safer for bike riders. So with that, we have our next meeting is Tri-County with Pinellas and Hillsborough, and we're continuing to work on our map, our Pasco County tourism map. And the other discussion we're going to have with them is the regional map, and I believe T-BARTA has such, and we want to continue to make sure people know that's available. With that,
Questions for Dr. Stovall? Great, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dr. Stovall. Appreciate all the work you do. This time we'll move to action items. We have several of them today. We'll start with the first one, which is a public hearing for the approval of the public participation plan update. Mr. Manny.
Right, good morning, everybody.
Morning, sir.
So as you know, the MPO is responsible for many required activities to support our transportation planning process. And this public participation plan basically describes the many strategies and techniques that we use to inform the public, to involve them in our planning process. The overarching goal is to make sure we provide access to our plans and programs and have the public have the opportunity to participate. This draft document was presented to you at the February 22nd meeting, and it's been going through a 45-day public comment period, and the full document is before you for review and approval.
Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this PPP?
Seeing no move for approval.
Seeing none, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Manny. Moving on to the second public hearing for today is the approval of fiscal years 2018-19 and 19-20 for the two-year Unified Planning Work Program.
Right, so this document is basically our workload for the next 2 years. Either it's on, sort of like MPO budget for the next 2 years of all the activities we would be involved with. It's a statement of work to be performed. It identifies our planning priorities. And the major planning priority for us in the coming year would be the development of the long-range transportation plan, which we actually are underway with that. And this document has also been under a public 30-day comment period, and what we're asking the MPO board to review and approve this document.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So when we're talking about the long-range transportation plan, I know how deep in the woods we want to get on it, or in the weeds, I should say, we want to get on it right now, but one of the things I'd like to see added, and I'll let the board obviously weigh in on this, is the widening of Old Pasco Road that was taken off the LRTP quite a few years ago. I think it was because of obviously the fiscal situation that the county was in, so it was removed. But with additional development going on in that area, the possibility of the office park or industrial park going into that area, it needs to be put back in my opinion. That's turning into a major thoroughfare here in Pasco County. You have an additional school. Right now you have a high school. It's going to turn into a middle high next year, if I'm not correct. We need to put it back on. So during this process, I just want to keep that in mind. I personally would like to, and I know a lot of that's in your district too, and it sits in both our districts, but it needs to be done. And when we're talking about possibly putting in an industrial park or business park there, and tractor trailers traversing that road on possibly a daily basis, in certain sections, it's not wide enough for them to traverse. It's dangerous. It would continually ruin the shoulders of the road with those trucks moving it back and forth. In addition, the extra traffic from the schools that we're going to continue to see, the buses, it just needs to be put back on. I know there's always the repercussions of moving something else possibly off the list, or pushing out something else back, but I think we need to look at it very, very closely. I don't know if anybody else wants to weigh in and what their thoughts are on that.
Commissioner,
Well, some of it with the park is going to be a part of that.
Right, that portion will
overpass.
be,
That
that's a
part, that
small
portion is
section.
gonna be taken care of. They're also shortly gonna be doing 1,500 feet from 52 back.
Yep.
Toward the school. And I think we'll get pieces and parts built in without, forcing the issue and causing us some issues where we don't have enough funding to take care of it. And look at some grants to take care of the other parts that are not gonna be taken care of in that sections of road.
Yeah, so can I respond?
Yes,
And
sir.
so, thank you. And then I appreciate
Yeah.
your thoughts on that. I don't, this is not a state road, so when it comes to
It's a
grant-
county road,
So when it comes to grants, it'll be more difficult to get grants for it. Now, I know Commissioner Mariano brought up like Tiger grants and things like that. That could be a possibility on the federal side, maybe. That's a
Right.
possibility. But nobody's gonna take a look at it or offer us any grants or any assistance if it's not in the LRTP. So we're just not going to. So it's gotta be added back in the LRTP, or nobody's gonna take a look at it. I think probably FDOT would even agree with, if it's not an LRTP, that nobody's gonna take a look at it, right?
Well,
I mean-
FDOT likes the idea of a lateral road or parallel road to the interstate. They don't want you traveling local traffic on the interstate. They want you to use these roads parallel to it. So they'll look at that for some grants for some of that.
So that's
So-
another, sorry, just to respond
Yeah,
again.
go
So that's a good point, what you
Yeah.
brought up, because you mentioned that they like the traffic to go on
Yeah,
local roads.
on
Well, guess
local
what?
roads.
So what that means is additional traffic on the local roads,
Oh,
more
yeah,
than we're
that's
seeing
true.
now.
Yeah.
So another reason we need to put that back in the LRTP. I know that, and I've been working very closely with county staff recently on some improvements that are gonna happen in that area, when it comes to the intersection of Old Pasco Road and Quail Hollow,
Yeah.
in that area too, because that's needed, but we gotta keep it going. We have to keep things moving.
Okay, so I have made a note. Both Commissioner Moore and Commissioner Oakley have discussed this with me, and Commissioner Moore at the board meeting today, but I've talked to Commissioner Oakley. We will put that on our radar, and as you said, it would be a balancing act of, it could be consequence, could be one other project would be kicked out. We haven't even gone through our revenue forecasting, and all of those will be brought before you, and you will make the ultimate decision.
So at this point, at least having acknowledgement, we can go ahead and have this
Okay.
public hearing today, noting that you said that is a major project of this plan. So, and as we get into, you said the weeds, the woods, to do that and get, seeing the projects, we have that opportunity to address that more fully,
Right.
correct? But noting today that lovely rain, noting today that is something that we want to, and thank you both, at least two commissioners, and Commissioner Mariano also has a comment, sir.
Yes, I think it is important to get on the list. Even if it's the bottom of the list, it needs to be on the list, and then we're gonna work from there, at least get started. And as you say, with the improvements going on, overpass interchange, the business park, there's gonna be more traffic. Every parallel road, McKendree to the other side too, needs to be looked at.
Right.
And going with that, let me ask you a question. I thought at the intersection of Old Pasco Road and 52, that the intersection there was gonna be built, where we're gonna be able to go straight through on R.C. Murphy and go connect over. It's down about 200 yards or so. When did that change? Because I thought that thing was lined up perfectly to intersect right with it, or did I maybe misunderstand it?
Can some staff?
I don't know what
answer
you're
that?
asking, really.
All right, so at 52.
It's a red light there now.
Right, there's a red light there
Right,
now,
yes.
and you can take a right turn to head down Old Pasco Road. I thought the road was gonna connect, where you could actually take a left turn as well, and catch that side road, go out and under and go. Right now, that connection is not there. Did I misunderstand that?
You talk about going across and then
Going across,
You mean
yeah.
go across and go down the side road?
Yeah, go to the
Well,
north.
That's part of the widening project. They'll have to probably answer that.
Is that supposed to
Is,
connect?
have
is
to
there
look
someone
at-
here that can answer it rather than just the board? Thanks. Ally. Or at least, yeah. at least
I
some-
think that the road goes, Old Pasco Road continue north, based on our vision plan, and it's part of a development process. If developer comes in and develops, then they build that connection, ultimately go further north. But that was never part of DOT project.
Yeah, where would that go though? I mean, That's not what
Where,
he's talking about.
where will that go? That's
You're
the
talking
road that-
continuing Old
go
Pasco
to the
Road to
north,
go
yeah.
north. So I'm just saying, that's part of, on the north side of 52, when development comes in, they will build that. We preserve the right of way.
So it
and
is
then
going to come.
It will be,
Because I
at
look at the-
one day it will
When
be.
development
And then they
comes,
have to
yeah.
improve the 10 lanes and all that to accommodate that.
But I'm confused to, I mean, just down a little bit further, less than probably 200 yards away, there's another connection, we can go to the north if you're heading to the west on 52. Why wouldn't we have made that connection in one shot instead of doing and redoing? I don't
Yeah, I
understand.
don't know, I have to check that. I don't know that, but I do know about Old Pasco Road continuing north.
All right. If I could, Madam
Commissioner
Chair, separate question. At Hicks Road and Hudson Avenue, we got a sidewalk project that's going in. The sidewalk hadn't started yet. I'm not sure how close we are to the end of all the right-of-way stuff, but I thought most of that was resolved. And the intersection improvement at Hudson Avenue and Hicks Road is going on right now, where it connects to the schools, connects to the parks. We've got a connection point as you go to the north on Hicks Road. Did we add in Hicks Road to be connected all the way up to Denton Avenue? Is that in our vision plan?
I want to say no, but I mean, I have to check with the county on the CIP and see what they have programmed.
All right, as we move forward, we need to add that connection too, again, with the improvements coming on, it's gonna drive more traffic. To have a dead end where it's gotta go out to 19 to go pick up Little Road, to go back over to Denton Avenue, doesn't make sense, especially when we got one segment done all the way from the northern section, which is from Bolton Avenue all the way to Denton. So the one piece that's missing is New York Avenue connection at Hicks Road all the way up to Bolton. So I know we talked about that before, I thought I could add it in, but just as you mentioned it now, as I think, let's get this thing right the first time.
So you'll check
That way
on
they're ready when they bring it back.
Sure. Thanks.
other comments? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the Unified Planning Work Program? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
Aye.
All
Oops, sorry.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item C is the Metropolitan Planning Organization Agreement for Planning Funds. Manny?
Right, so this item actually ties into the previous item. In order for us to receive these federal planning funds, we have to enter into an agreement with DOT to actually receive these funds. Our current agreement will expire June 30th, and we're going into another 2-year agreement that will take us to June of 2020. There is a resolution in your packet that the County Attorney's Office, Mr. David Goldstein, has reviewed for legal content and approved that, and it's before you for review and approval.
Questions of staff on this planning funds? No questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item D, I guess Ross, who can officially introduce himself and tell us a little bit about himself. We do have a resolution, and because we have a member of the BPAC here, actually the chair, I think we'd like to read that as well, Ross, when you, if you wouldn't mind doing that, and appropriate presentation to the chair, since that is important to all of us here.
All right. By way of quick introduction, my name is Ross Kevlin. I'm the county's new bike and pedestrian planner. I'm here from the other West Coast, where I was in Portland, Oregon for about longer than I'd like to remember, 22 years. Before that, I was on this West Coast. I cut my teeth as a planner working for Pinellas County, including a little bit of work on the Pinellas Trail.
Oh, cool.
So I do have a bit of a bike ped background, along with working with a lot of other modes as a transportation planner. And it's good to be here. There's a lot of work to be done.
We're very happy to see you. I think, I think, as I told you before, I know at least myself and Commissioner Starkey, but I think all of us are, and it's nice to have some consistency because there are so many things going forward in the county. So we look forward to at least picking up where we not left off, but just moving forward and making things happen and come to completion. So welcome.
All right, thank you. This item right here is asking the MPO to declare May National Bike Month, and the week of the 14th to the 18th is Bike to Work Week. The event is to promote the benefits of biking in terms of health, in terms of the lower costs and impacts compared to some other transportation modes. Incidentally, we're trying to, we're working on a Bike to Work event for BOCC employees a week from tomorrow. So that it will be happening as well.
Excellent. Cool.
So
Very good. Do you want it read by title only or in its entirety? Just what's
Oh, let's read it.
Come on, Randy.
Let me get the,
I guess that is
You
the,
want me to read the resolution? I'll be happy to do that. So a resolution by Pasco County Metropolitan Planning Organization declaring the month of May as Bike Month and the third week in May as Bike to Work Week in Pasco County. Whereas for more than a century, the bicycle has been a utilitarian, economical, environmentally sound, and effective means of personal transportation, recreation, and fitness. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists established May as National Bike Month in 1956 to showcase the many benefits of bicycling and to encourage more people to give biking a try. And whereas the League of American Bicyclists has established the second week in May as National Bike to Work Week, and the Friday of that week is National Bike to Work Day. And whereas Pasco County MPO encourages the use of bicycles as a viable means of transportation, and whereas Pasco County MPO recognizes the bicycle as a legitimate vehicle, which is entitled to legal and responsible use of all public roadway facilities in the county except highways constructed to interstate standards. And whereas Pasco County MPO encourages the increased use of the bicycle, benefiting all citizens of the county by improving air quality, reducing traffic congestion and noise, decreasing the use and dependence upon finite energy sources, and fostering exercise. And whereas Pasco County MPO endeavors to promote safe and responsible bicycling and is committed to incorporating the development of bicycle facilities in the vision for making the county a vibrant place. And whereas Pasco County MPO encourages all citizens to ride their bicycles to work, to the store, to the park, around their neighborhoods, and with friends and family to promote the personal and societal benefits achieved from bicycling. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Pasco County Metropolitan Planning Organization in Florida, in regular session duly assembled, that said board hereby declares May as the Bike Month in Pasco County and May 14 through 18, 2018 as Bike to Work Week, with that Friday, May 18, 2018 to be Bike to Work Day, and urges every resident to take time to ride their bicycle to work, school, or shopping.
Thank you, sir.
Do we need a motion to approve? We do that at our board meeting, so.
Yes, we do.
Move to approve?
second.
We have a motion, we have a couple of seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Thank
you
you
both
all.
for
And I
doing
just
that.
want to say, just because I did this on my bike, doesn't mean you will go over your handlebars and tear your ligaments on your bike. I did something very stupid. I wasn't following safe biking rules.
There you go. So it's all about safety. But thank you, and thank you for allowing us to read that, because that is important to one of the initiatives here in our
Yeah, that's my
county.
doctor said, no more biking. I said, no.
Item E is the appointment to T-Bar to Citizens Advisory Committee. Manny, and I think we had a preview of
just
that.
real quick, there is a vacancy for our Pasco representative on the T-BARDA CAC. I guess there's communication from Commissioner Starkey.
Okay.
We'd like to ask if the board is okay with Ms. Kelly Miller to represent Pasco County on the T-BARDA CAC. And then have our current member, Ms. Rich Balcom, to be the alternate.
Yes, I
This-
thought we did that already. But I think there was some miscommunication. But I'm fine with Kelly being our representative, because I know she'll show up. They're having trouble having a quorum down there because people don't show up.
And I know in my interaction with Kelly, she's really a go-to and is always very involved, and so I think she's an excellent.
And it just does make
excellent
sense. She
representative.
also chairs our Pasco MPO
Yeah.
CAC, so she's
Yeah.
on top of all the
Sounds
elements.
good.
Move to approve.
We have a motion?
Second?
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And thank you, Ms. Miller. Oh, there you are. Thank you. We know you'll do us proud. Item G is the State Road 54 and 41 cut and cover. And Ollie's handing that, I think, right? Oh, yes, there he is. Oh, the bylaws. Good. What is wrong with that? Yeah, I am sorry. It must be my eyes today or something. Item F, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee bylaws and membership. Sorry about that. It's my
all right, this item is asking the MPO board to adopt recommended bylaw changes that were requested by the board to set up geographic districts for Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee representation. The districts have one member and one alternate from each city and each county district. We'd like to retain the current members who are in these positions, because they're solid folks who've been volunteering their time and have a good knowledge base established. But that will mean multiple members in some of the districts. If there are any questions, I can try to answer them, but Dr. Stovall will probably be in a better position to do that.
I have a question. So a lot of the alternate members are vacant now, and so are we supposed to be coming up with names to present to you folks, or what is the status of that? Because just about everyone has, they're all vacant, they're all alternate members on this list.
Yeah,
anyway.
we have no alternates at present because we didn't have provision for that, so we'd have to get those names from you, and I
Okay, so
think
you
Ross
are.
could work with you to do that, so.
Okay, so it looks like just about every board member has an option or can provide an alternate member to folks. Okay. And there is an at-large member that is vacant as well, correct?
Yes, and there'll be 4 members from institutions that, the health department, the sheriff's office, the schools, and the safety team. So those people too, some of those need to be replaced, and I think Ross will talk to those agencies about.
Okay, so you'll
about
take
their
care of that
reps.
one, and then in the meantime,
Yeah.
if we have alternates that we want to suggest, we can get those names to you as well for the alternate positions. All righty, so this is an action item for approval of their bylaws and membership. We've had a chance to look at those. Any questions?
I just wanted to add that
Sir.
Commissioner Mariano, we also need somebody as a primary person that you wanted to nominate.
Yeah, I will, and I'll talk to the mayor, Ms. Massett, about his as well, but, well, you should, actually.
Just send
But-
us whoever you.
Well, I had a couple of people that I had in mind. Craig Casper was gonna give them the dates of the meeting. I don't think he ever got the dates, so I'll work with a new person about getting the dates so that people know when they're supposed to show up and what the schedule's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm sure they would like to have representation there. That would be good, so. Further questions, comments? If not, what's the pleasure of the board on the bylaws and membership?
Move approval?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, we're on to State Road 54 and US 41 cut and cover an alley, and I'm sorry for that earlier. I know this was a lot of discussion at our last meeting. You were directed to go back and, I guess, do some investigation and some
Let's
homework.
take a
and
deep
so-
breath. Yes, we did go back. We researched the discussion at the last board meeting. We contacted the cities, counties, DOT, MPO, Broward MPO. We did found the tunnel that was a little bit longer than Mr. Mariano mentioned. So the bottom line is we had no choice but go back and recalculate the cost, which I don't want to call it tunnel now. I just want to call it an underpass, which I tried to do my best to reduce the cost. And then look at also the elevated cost to have a fair comparison. So I don't know, Manny, are you?
Which one is it?
Do we have something to put up there for those in the audience? Oh, kind of small. Okay, there we go.
Okay, so I went back and for elevated options, the length of the overpass was too long based on the conceptual costs that our consultant came up with. So I went back and talked to DOT. I look at their cost estimates based on the PD&E. So they basically had two alternatives, alternative 3C and 3A they called it. One is more expensive to build the overpass but lower right-of-way costs because they were able to accommodate the turn lanes underneath the overpass. The other option was much lower construction cost, but then the turn lanes had to happen on the side. That's why they have more right-of-way costs. The elevated option or the underpass option, I reduced the cost as much as possible to just basically go under 41, but then the turn lanes has to happen on the side. There's no way, if you make the turn lanes happen on top, then you increase the cost of the underpass construction significantly. I can show you how and why. So this is the main table. You can see the cost. That's why, by the way, that's why I put the right-of-way cost the same as the option 3A under the PD&E for elevated. So it's about 90 million, similar to that concept. I can go through how I came up with 250 million. I did talk to Skanska, the person who gave me the cost for tunnel. I talked to him and got more info from him to recalculate his concept. Manny, do you want to go to the other slide, give more detail? It's only a couple of slides.
Which one is
Okay, so this is what presented last time. Basically, we were looking at the 6,000 feet tunnel, 3,000 on either side. So the construction was 420 million. Because it was a tunnel, you had to put in some components for safety and call it system costs, which is mainly putting in for fire hazard, ventilation, telephone lines, and things like that under the in the tunnel.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Part of the reason for this high cost as well, comparing to the tunnel they were looking at before, was the tunnel they were using was going under a river. So as much as I knew the numbers were skewed, I just didn't know if they were looking at the right thing. And I don't think you ever did find what I was looking for, but I'm happy to hear you talk about underpass as opposed to a tunnel, because that's what it was, an underpass, not a tunnel.
Right, and I'm looking at an underpass, not a tunnel here. So can you go to the next slide? Oh. This, you can't even see very well, but so it's hard to see, but basically there is a line that going down, so you're basically going sloping down for about 1,100 feet, which this number we met at DOT before, and this is a reasonable distance to be able to go down and clear the 41 when you go under. You need about 300 feet to clear 41 to go under, and then come up on the other side the same distance. This 2,500 feet is the total length of what you need to accommodate for underpass. This is exactly the same distance, by the way, that DOT used for elevated option. So when you go elevated, you go up that much distance, you go 300 feet, and you come down. Go to the next slide. So I talked to Mr. John Walker from Skanska, and we talked about reducing his 420 million that he used just for construction with a shorter distance. So he was okay with using a proportional cost, and that if you use the distance ratio to 6,000 feet, you get 175 million. So for safety system costs, I put 0 because now you don't have a tunnel, so you don't have to worry about all the additional costs a tunnel requires. Mr. Walker did not include utility relocation, but DOT did in their cost estimate, so I added about 9 million, which on an underpass, it might be higher, but that's what I use for overpass. MOT is maintenance of traffic. Mr. Walker did not have maintenance of traffic, but DOT did in their PD&E. So I added 14 million, is 8% of the construction cost. CSX rail wasn't included in that 420 million, so I added 5 million because that's what Mr. Walker gave me. We still need a pump station because you're going under, so you got to add that. And then because you're going under, you still have to deal with the side road that come off from the point where you go under and all the turn lanes. So that's another 12.9 million for both sides. And then contingency, that's norm for DOT on all their projects, they added contingency, and that's how you came up with 250 million. And that's represented in that first table.
Other questions at this
That's
point?
the
or
best I
comments?
could do.
I just one
Commissioner
question. I
Mariano.
mean, that number's obviously a lot better. I'm glad you get to a reasonable length compared to what you had before, so I appreciate the effort for that. I feel better about these numbers than I did the other numbers, as far as being realistic. Just one quick question. When you had the height and the length before so long, did it shorten the depth that you went down compared to what your first design was to this one?
No, the depth is still the same because you're going down 1,000 feet
Okay.
to go to a certain depth. So the depth is the same.
They haven't changed
It's
that,
just
okay.
the distance, and I use that longer distance to make sure we can accommodate all the turn lanes on top, so we don't have any issues in the future. But if you go just under, you have to accommodate the turn lanes on the side.
Okay.
Commissioner Moore, are you mulling over there?
But we're still looking at a pretty big differential in cost, obviously.
It's just mainly because of the distance.
So you were
And then
asking,
again, this is conceptual.
Well, of course, right,
Right.
yeah. But
but those numbers, yeah, still, I mean, you can see there's a pretty big differentiation between the two
Well, the
options.
preferred, by the way, the preferred alternative as far as DOT when they were doing the PD&E was alternative 3C, which has lower right-of-way impact but higher construction costs for the bridge. So when you look at that cost, that's about 150, 60 million. If you look at that option for underpass, you're looking at 340 million. So that's almost like 2 times, a little bit more than 2 times the cost of a bridge.
Which one is that in our,
3C, is
I
that
I
3C?
see 1 and 7, I see 4, 8.
You're
So-
talking 54, 56 alternative task force? Are you looking at that PowerPoint?
Yes,
Okay, so
We don't have a
this
3C,
is,
right?
we don't know what,
We
we don't have
a 3C,
memorized
yeah.
what alternate 3C is.
okay, if you want to look at those alternatives, I think alternative, if I remember correctly, there is no underpass, by the way, in those alternatives, obviously. Task force didn't look at it.
Right.
That 3, it's more similar to 3A. If you look at alternative 4, where you have a express lane go over,
So what does that matter? I guess that's
Why
what
do
we're
we not have a
asking.
picture
Yeah,
of
so-
alternative 3C in our Vision 54 task force?
no, task force, okay, just to clarify, task force, we stopped the PD&E and we went back to task force and we started fresh from the very beginning. We look at 19 alternatives and all that. So they came up with 4 alternatives, including no build. The closest one to a PD&E, what I'm saying is alternative number 4 in your task force packet, if I remember the numbers correctly.
Can you put
It's
it up
basically a 4-lane going over,
So
4-lane.
I think that's what we're trying to figure out. So where does, so alternative
screen.
3C is really is closest to alternative 4, and what's the next one?
3A is closest.
3A is closest to alternative 4, and what is close to 3C?
3C is,
cameras.
okay, just, these PD&E, all it is a 4-lane road bridge, just going over. There is no talk about express lane, transit lane, nothing. PD&E is just a 4-lane road bridge to go over 41. And they had different designs to accommodate, to deal with right-of-way impact. The task force get into more detail. They said, okay, I want these 4 lanes to be express lane. I want in addition to express lane, I want exclusive transit lane in addition to the, so there are different options the task force looked at, including some at-grade type of, like PFI or CFI, alternative design intersections. The PD&E is, all it is just a bridge to go over 41, 4 lanes. That's what the PD&E did. And I will go over all the alternatives, and this is, to me, that picture is mainly closest that you can get to what DOT have. It's just 4-lane, go over 41.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so again, the task force, because they did a vote on this, right? And I know it was pretty spread out on the choices, but you're saying this alternative got the most support?
No.
It did not?
No,
So
okay.
which one got the most support again?
When I said it was preferred alternative, I was talking about DOT,
Right.
PD.
So which one from the task force got the most support?
I think that if I wasn't at the last meeting, I don't have the exact counts, but I believe, and David was the only person there, but I think the PFI was the most vote, right?
Yeah, if you look at what you gave us, anyway, it looks like, Commissioner Moore, at least from this list that you gave us, alternative 4 for both State Road 54 and 54 for the intersection, that's what at least the list you gave us, and you're not telling us if it's priority or what voted most, but that's the first one on both sides.
No, there is no priority on it.
There's no priority,
He's
but there
correct.
was a vote.
The PFI, I believe, did get the most votes, to answer your question directly. But we asked the task force to rank, I think, their top 3 or 4. So everything that's before you are their top 3 or 4. They voted out everything else.
Right.
So so the way these are listed, or the way the most people voted for, is that how we read this list? So if this top one is the one that got the most votes, the second?
I don't see what, I don't have that document right here, so I don't know what.
Can we put it
Do
up?
you have it up there so others can see it? But that's the way I read it, is when I look at this, is that probably got the most.
So
and then
I want to
worked
be
down.
clear, the task force was not asked to rank when they gave their top 3 or 4. I'm telling you the way the votes came out initially, all right? But they were not asked to rank among the top 3 or 4, which was their preferred alternative. Because you have to remember, there's a whole phase 2 to this study, where we're going to go out to the public and say, what does the public like among these top 3 or 4?
Okay.
So I think the task force was not asked to say which is the best one. They were asked to say which are the ones that you want to have more study about. And so that's what they did. So I don't want you to assume because they were listed a certain way, or I think PFI may have gotten the most votes initially, but that wasn't what the task force was asked to do.
Just to throw out those that they didn't care about at all.
They were
but
asked to
keep the
get rid of a
ones
bunch of alternatives. These are the alternatives that they thought were worthy of further explanation, further exploration.
Got it.
And more citizen input, because we're going to do a big citizen outreach on these
Right.
alternatives to see what does the public want to see on this roadway.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir. Commissioner
In that,
Mariano.
and I appreciate the effort going through and the board's willingness to let them go look at that underpass and relook at it again to make sure we actually get a realistic thing to look at. Clearly, the option of the price is much higher than the other one, so I think we should move past that. And going to what staff recommends down here as far as making a recommendation, I'm going to say that I think we should be approve the 4 alternatives so a scope can be developed and a feasibility study be conducted by FDOT and coordinated with the MPO staff.
Yeah, I would
There you
second
go.
that with discussion, Madam Chair.
There's a motion, there's a second discussion.
Yeah, and I agree with you, like we stated before, it's worth looking at everything. You need to do your due diligence, and we took a look at everything. It's the right thing to do. If we're approached and somebody submits a different alternative, which was done, we should take a look at it. We did it. Unfortunately, it's cost prohibitive. But again, the last thing we wanted is a year or 2 years down the road going, why didn't we look at something else?
Exactly.
Right? So, but I would agree with that motion, and so that way we can move on.
Further discussion? If not, we have a motion, a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. But thank you, going along with what Commissioner Mariano and Commissioner Moore said, thank you for taking that time, waiting that month, going out and doing that further investigation. I do think that, now we'll put it out there for some further input, and at least we can say we've at least considered what we think were all of our options at the time.
Madam Chair, one more
Yes,
thing,
sir.
because this is important, obviously. How soon are we going to start the public outreach for the input?
Okay, so what we have to do is sit down with DOT because they're actually paying for the study, develop a scope. One of the things we need to resolve is the public engagement part, because I don't know if DOT want to go extensively in public, so we have to take on that task, especially dealing with task force. Because at some point we need to have, you want to hear what task force recommends. So we still have to work out the details of the scope. We do have shortage of funding. MPO is doing a lot of LRTP next 2 years, so I don't know what's going to happen there. But my understanding is DOT, when we talked before, it was going to be a year project. So within that year, when we start the study, within that year, we're going to have scheduled public meetings, whatever the strategy is. I know at the minimum we need task force. We have had good experience on MetroQuest, is a tool that you use to get public input. We may want to use that. So we haven't talked strategy yet, how we're going to have the public involved. But within that 1 year, we need to then come up with detailed public involvement schedule.
So you're saying within the year?
From the time when DOT finalized the scope, they told us it takes about a year, and that's what we put in the PowerPoint. But it may be, it depends. So I can't, at this point, I can't speak for DOT.
Additional questions?
I just think the sooner the better, that's my opinion. I mean, we waited long enough.
I agree. We need, actually, we're going to have a hard time dealing with this road in the LRTP.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what what do we put in the LRTP.
Right, that's true, you're right. And I mean, I'm happy about the assistance from FDOT with the lane extension, the turn lane extension, which, can start construction early next year, hopefully, right? That'll be a big help at the same time. Gotta move forward.
And remember, the next phase, phase 2, DOT only has funding to look at 5441.
I understand.
So the rest of the corridor still is up in the air, and we put the studying 5456 as one of the top TMA priorities. So hopefully we can get planning money to move on with the rest of the corridor.
And that's an obviously very important intersection. We need to move forward and quickly as possible.
Need to move forward, and quickly, like yesterday, right?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Ryan.
Are there any inefficiencies, efficiencies that can be gained by, at some point, these conversations leading up to looking at, Collier Parkway is another one that's going to need it as well. Are there any redundancies that are here that we're going to be able to, not have to go through this long, long process and try to look at that as well for the next project?
Or 54 and Little.
Or
If we
54 and
get
Little,
there.
yeah. Either one, yeah, exactly.
Well, anytime you have, there was an elevated lane proposed for entire corridor, you get a lot of public opposition, so we had to go back and start all over and make sure everybody's okay. So sometimes,
Well,
but once we know 5441, it may help with, at least to the east, how you handle that. But we have to finish 5451 or 41 at this point.
But we are going to continue to have, like I said, you just can keep naming intersections or areas that, as the growth continues, we all know it's, it's just going to be a repeat from one to the next.
I'm sorry. Another thing I heard, and I hate to put DOT in this position, is I heard the 54 from 41 going east is part of SIS plan, which gets more money from DOT because it's SIS. And I heard, I haven't confirmed, and I don't know how, that they're taking that out of the SIS.
What?
So that means less money. That's what I heard. Again, I just want to give you a heads up that I was told by one of the staff at DOT that that project is coming out of, or that road is coming out of SIS. So I need to talk to confirm that, and if that's going on, then we need to have some presentation that tell us why, how this happened, and it caught me by surprise.
Yeah, well, we definitely want to get on top. We don't want to, that's happened before where things happen and then we're going back to try and fix it. So we need to, that
Well,
definitely is
can
not a
we
good
hear
thing.
right now what the criteria is for SIS or non-SIS road from DOT? Can someone educate me real quickly?
I know some,
Are you? Okay.
but not all, but mainly is strategic intermodal
Intermodal
system, So access, like for example, if you have a road accessing to an airport, that gets into ports, roads that have major significance in terms of providing travel. In Pasco County, you got US 19, you got I-75, Suncoast, and then we have 54 that comes off of part of 56 as well, from I-75 go to 41, and then little portion of 41 that go south, and then Dale Mayberry, and then go connecting then to Suncoast. So basically 54 provide an east-west
Right, you can't get to those
connection
roads if you're not on
like that.
54. So how can it not be part of the SIS system?
So I don't know, again, I'm just giving you a heads up that I heard this.
Who makes,
So-
is that a federal determination, or is that a state
It's
determination?
a state.
Is that a District 7 determination?
No, it's a Tallahassee thing.
Well, we can work on that.
It's Tallahassee, but they work with District 7, and I was told from District 7, just, again, I don't wanna, when I heard it, it concerned me.
So we have
Mainly
some
for
representatives here.
funding.
Can they not enlighten us anymore, or no, nothing?
They may not know.
You know, I see no heads shaking, you don't, no?
So I'm gonna talk to more with DOT. If that's truly going on, we need to have some sort of a presentation or something from DOT as to where we're going with this and why and all that.
Yeah, let us know, because we need to know if we need to reach out to our,
Friends in
Contacts.
Tallahassee.
I mean, the sooner we know, the
we
better.
can take, and we can help take care of that.
What, the loss in funding, what, is there a percentage, or, I mean, what are we looking at?
That I don't know, but I know Tallahassee comes up with this 5-year, 10, 20-year plan, and they just throw projects and say, these are the, it's very hard to know exactly
One more question.
how decisions are made.
Okay, so if they're taking something out of SIS, are they adding something to it in
I
our
don't
county?
know, Commissioner. I have no idea. Again, I'm just saying something I heard that concerned me. I wanted you all to be aware.
Is this Jim Wood's office?
This-
Whose office in Tallahassee makes these decisions?
I don't know. I know who's in charge in District 7, which that's mainly our contact.
So how soon will you get back to us by the next meeting? I mean, just something, we certainly don't
I
want
know-
this to.
I'm glad DOT heard me, so I will talk to them after the meeting, so they go check into this with appropriate staff, and then we figure out how we want to proceed.
Okay, sooner rather than later. Okay, I think there was Commissioner Mariano, and then it was over here, Commissioner Mariano.
Yeah, I mean, several years ago, we had the Urban Land Institute in here. They came in here twice, and they studied the 54 corridor. And in the geographical struggles that Pinellas has and Hills Road has, they clearly say 54 should not just be a burden of Pasco County. This is a regional road that, to go north-south, if you're in the northern Hills Road, northern Pinellas, you've got to go on 54 to get anywhere. So this should be a road that we get a lot of DOT, Tallahassee help with, that needs to be looked at. When I look at the speed of these things, when I look back to when we had the first talks about, what we're gonna do for an elevated expressway from 54 going across the county, when people looked at the tolls and what was gonna cost them, and some of the residences along the way thought with the things above was gonna hurt the residents, that's where the big outreach was, I think the big kickback was with the whole thing. And I think wisely we stepped back from that. But I think these intersections are very critical, and if we have 6 lanes of highway going with 6 lanes of north-south roads that are going up and down, we should really plan these things. I think the Little Road, Collier, and 41 should be kind of like, as the part of the conversation, what's coming up next. Otherwise, we're going to redo this whole thing again and again and again. But if we get some consistency to kind of say, here's what could happen next, maybe as you go in with this outreach, it may be a good thing to put in there. I don't know how DOT can work it, I know you got to re-engineer everything, but the basic parameters to what the number should be pretty similar.
And I totally agree, and one of the problem with, and you build, let's say you build an overpass, all you're doing is dumping the traffic to the next intersection, so you're still gonna get huge congestion. Sometimes it backs up into the overpass that you just built. So these overpasses are effective but then you just get stuck in the next light. It gets frustrating. So yes, I agree. This is not just one intersection. This is the whole corridor issue.
Thank you. Was there a question here? No? So we did vote, is there some additional?
So what I'm hearing is there's a motion that you're okay with these 4 alternatives, and then we can go back, talk to DOT, have them do their feasibility study, and then at that point, then they can move on. Once they finalize that, we will bring it back to you, show you the results, what is feasible, what is not, and all that, so that then the next step would be to finish up their PD&E. Now, finish up their PD&E should be easier now because they have all the data and analysis, and a lot of public involvement already has happened and all that. So to me, that shouldn't take that long. So, but we still have to talk to DOT. See.
And I think that's what the conversation was, just move it along. Was that your words? You know, just say, how long was it going to take, and let's just move it along. I think that's the concern.
Yeah.
We've been talking and talking, so let's, that's the interest here, is just to, let's.
And traffic getting worse and worse.
Thank you, sir. I think you're up for the next one on the TIP and the 30 comment period.
Okay, so the next item is the TIP, Transportation Improvement Program. This is, you have a draft final in your packet. This is starting a 30-day public comment period, which actually started May 4th and is going to end on June 4th. Most of the project in the packet you see, you have already seen it when you looked at the tentative program.
Okay, so, sorry, you don't have that in your packet?
Yeah, why do we not have
But you
it?
have the link to the document. It's rather a thick document. We didn't put it in there. We just have the cover page in there.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Alan.
Okay, so the projects in the work program, as you hopefully see it soon, is same as what you saw a few months ago when we presented the tentative TIP, which was based on what you approved for priority list in 2017. So then DOT develops a tentative. So now it's kind of like final draft, subject to a 30-day public comment period. Now, there are 3 projects that was added that you did not see based on the funding we got from state. Is the I-75 overpass interchange. We got 15 million that shows up in there. And then there are a couple of PD&E studies for extending 56, where...
Could we, I think several of us are frustrated because we don't have it in the packet. Is there, since you have the link, is there something we can see as you talk about this? No? Other than on our phones or whatever we have here? No? Besides what we had done prior to getting here?
That's all right.
Yes, sir.
I really appreciate it, but even in our board meetings on consent items, we have, we have details on, and this isn't a consent item, this is an action item that we should.
Well,
it's
today,
hold on.
just to
It-
clarify,
What, Alex?
today is not action.
Well,
But we're opening up the comment period, but it would still have been nice.
It's just
I
the
think.
comment period.
it is listed as an action item,
Okay, I'm sorry.
okay?
It is an action item
Right.
for you to begin the comment.
start the
I'll
30
pull it up for you in just a second.
So when
so
we
we
get
have-
back here in June, we will actually have that, because that's when we're actually going to do the full public hearing. But it would have been nice, besides having the link, and I totally agree, to have it here, since we are limited on our.
I mean, and we're talking about something, you got the public, they're watching it on TV, they're not able to see anything.
Yeah,
Let's-
And now this is going to, it's going to be hard to see it. So not a good thing. So you're asking us to take action. I know we've got this, I don't think there's much, I don't know how much.
Screen.
well, I
How
meant
much,
the
flexibility we have,
action.
Commissioner
Okay,
Starkey?
go ahead.
Well, some of the things that I have talked to you about are looking at the pedestrian or overpass at the Coast to Coast Trail at 54 and Starkey. And Manny, we talked about that. So we need to at least start looking at that, because right now there's land available on either side, on all 4 corners. But if we wait, we won't have land available. So I have no idea if that's in here. Also, something of interest to me is to start discussing the Tower Road flyover, both the road and the pedestrian flyover bridge. So those are important, I think, to start discussing.
You done, Commissioner Moore?
Yeah, real quick too, and you mentioned that there's items that have been added to it
Yeah,
that we didn't see before.
I've
Another
not-
reason why it should be in our packet. But some of those items are ones that are about to start construction.
no. We got state legislation gave us funding, 15 million addition for construction of the overpass at an I-75 interchange.
So the
So we
diversion
can-
diamond, yes, which is about to start construction.
Well, I think construction is not, we are in the design, so the construction, I believe, is 2020 or 2021.
Which
Or
one are you talking about?
Overpass and I-75.
Oh, yeah, but you talked about,
Yeah,
you
we're
talked
talking
about
about
some,
something
you said
different.
56 earlier too, so I guess you just misspoke. That's okay.
Oh,
So,
if
yes,
I
that
said
one, okay.
56, I
Okay,
apologize.
that's all right, that's all right.
Okay, so I think here's the big
Yeah.
concern, well, several. But, so now we got the 30-day comment period opening up, so so all of these things that Commissioner Starkey, Commissioner Moore have noted, in addition to whatever else we want to add when we look at that list, I mean, so when the next meeting on the 14th, as people are looking at this during a comment period, I guess at the next meeting then, we have a chance to, we're not
Okay.
able to have this conversation because most of us don't have it in front of us here. So on the next meeting on the 14th, we have a chance to go through that and make sure
Well,
that those are in there? or
The
not?
14th,
Whatever the next,
Okay.
is that the next meeting date? That's what I'm reading here.
so this kind of discussion needs to happen fairly quickly because 14th, we need to adopt a TIP. At that point, the comment period has ended. We will address all the comments and then we adopt the TIP in June. So the conversation about projects, first of all, is based on some priority list that we already worked on with DOT last year, and then they developed a tentative TIP, which we showed that to you. Now, for them to add any projects here, then they have to take projects out. So unless, I mean, I can't comment on pedestrian and trails, maybe Manny can jump in, but at this point, moving projects around is,
So to make you more comfortable in the June meeting, I'm not gonna be here, but Ali will go through a PowerPoint presentation, kind of highlighting some of the projects that the board is interested in, and hopefully we'll supplement that with some maps you can look at. Unfortunately, today we have some technical issues, we kind of can't see the screen. The boardroom in Newport Richie, that's where the meeting will be, is all equipped so you can visually see of all the projects, what has been added. And as he mentioned, in July of 2017, this board came up with a priority list, and DOT developed this TIP based on that. So in August of this year, we're gonna revisit this priority list, and it would be an opportunity for you to add, take out projects, and especially on the TA list, I will work with Ross. Some of the projects got funded, they're gonna be taken out, and then the follow-up projects will move up. So the complete presentation would be next month presented before you for adoption.
Commissioner Starkey?
Well, the overpass that I'm speaking of, for the coast to coast, I believe the coast to coast gets a separate pot of money, and that's the pot of money that we would be asking for.
Okay, so Commissioner, on that one, I personally submitted the statewide grant for that, SunTrail, so DOT has.
It's not SunTrail, that's coast to coast. SunTrail would be the Tower Road flyover.
No, I'm talking about the orange belt.
Right.
We plugged in for the SunTrail funds.
Okay, but SunTrail, is SunTrail the same as coast to coast as far as funding?
Well, yeah.
I don't think so. Someone's saying yes, someone's saying no, so.
It is part of it, Commissioner.
Mr. Beatty?
Okay.
Brian Beatty with the Florida DOT. SunTrail is the overarching umbrella for the pot of money that includes the coast-to-coast money,
Okay.
which is the highest priority of the three priorities of those SunTrail dollars.
Okay.
Okay.
So then we have to decide so so then both of those are important, but we started with the Tower Road flyover?
Right. So we submitted like in segments. We have like 2 projects. One is from Trinity area up to kind of just north of 54, and then from there for the next segment.
But I don't think we put in for a flyover.
Well, it's part of the project, so it's going to be, we put in the cost actually for anticipating a flyover.
All right, I think Mr. Woods from DOT told us that he told me that would be about $3 million to do that flyover of Tower.
I can't recall how much was in there.
That's what he
but
told me.
We looked at some, actually DOT helped us out, some of the similar type of overpasses that was recently constructed, and we used those costs just to be,
But my little fear is that, and I mentioned it here before, if we don't plan for the place where the overpass will fit at Starkey and 54, we won't be able to do it. Because we're not gonna let someone build a building and then take it away from them. I mean, now is the time to at least see if we want to put one there, and maybe we don't build it now, but we at least reserve the space to build it. You know, get an easement or whatever it is that we need, but we're gonna miss the opportunity if we don't act, and that's really frustrating as a, person sitting up here that I know that the recommendation came from the BPAC to put that flyover there on 54, and I'm just saying, we've got to start planning or we're gonna waste an opportunity. It'll be very expensive. So I don't know how else to say that. But you understand what I'm saying? I mean, we don't have to build it today, but we have to at least make sure we can get to a place where we can build it by reserving or buying some land or whatever it is that we need to do. Yeah, because right now, all 4 corners would be available for something.
So what we're being asked today is to open up the 30-day comment period. It sounds to me that at the next meeting, though Manny will not be here, we will have the TIP, the full one, and there will be a discussion on that, but then again at the next meeting after that.
And then in August, we will bring before you the priority list for 2018, which we would then hand it over to DOT to work on developing the next tentative work program.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Marrone.
Thank you. One of the things I want to see that the cities of Newport Richey and Port Richey and the commission in our meeting we talked about was the underpass at US 19.
Right.
Where is the status of that? Because we were told last year, well, it was too late, we can't get in there, we got to wait till this year. Well, this year's now here.
So
Where is that on the
naturally,
list?
on the priority list, that project's gonna move up, and it would be up to this board if they wanna even jump it further up.
So can you put that list up on the board so we can see it?
Yeah, because I'm looking here and I can't
Because
find
I don't want to wait
it.
till next month, we already did the 30-day comment period, now you're going to go bring it up. I
Okay,
want to
so-
see it now.
So you're talking about the funding for that project?
I want to see the priority list of where
List.
that is. That was supposed to go to the top of the
Okay,
list. We
so-
couldn't do it last year. I don't want to see it naturally move up. We want to move it up.
Right, so if you want us to bring the priority list to you before when we plan on bringing it, we can do that. Because it was scheduled to be brought before you in August. We can bring it up next month. If you all want to review the priority list for the one you're mentioning for the TA projects.
All right, so let me ask this question. We've clearly stated in several meetings, we want to see this move up. Have you moved it up?
I don't know if this board has instructed us to move it up. I know you have been asking for it. Mayor Massad has been asking for it. But collectively, as a board, I don't recall if the board directed us to move that up.
So Manny, if you brought that at the next,
So we can make the comment and take a look at it.
Right, so that list is a part of the priority list, is the transportation alternative list, is one mode of the whole priority list. You have roadways in there, intersections in there, and the sidewalks in there. Collectively, that would be presented before you in August. I'm asking the board if you want to see that in
think you
June,
wanna see
we
it
can do
earlier.
that. Because we have scheduled of prescribed documents that we bring before you every month, and that's scheduled for August. We can bring it before you in June if you want.
I mean, what's the pleasure of the board as far as to, I mean, is this a top priority item still? Has this changed?
I think we need to, well,
See
and
the
it,
list.
see the list. What I'm getting from this conversation is that because we don't have that here today, is bring it earlier than it was scheduled, so that we have that opportunity to look at it and at least vote as a board, even though it's been, and I know you had your municipality commission meeting, but that's what I'm hearing is,
Okay,
you guys bring it next
so you're
month.
asking me to, asking us to bring only the sidewalk priorities, that's correct?
Well, there was a couple of other things that were,
Well,
Mr.
you know,
Starkey had-
well,
Well,
I'm
this-
on your website to look for the TIP, and the only one I see there is 2016. Is that the only one we have on there? Because I clicked on your link, and it's
Okay.
showing me the 2016. So I
Okay,
don't know if I did
I'll bring
something
it
wrong.
up, but this is for 2018-19, and plus 4 more years.
So I clicked on Transportation Improvement Tip, Most Recent Plan PDF, and that comes up as
Okay, so
2016.
then you need to go to MPO plans and programs, to our annual programs, and then in here you have view all of the TIPs. And the most current adopted one appears right on top.
So let's open it up.
But basically, this is what you adopted last
last
June.
year, this is not the one we're talking about now.
And then we're getting ready to adopt the next one, that's when he presented next month, would be the 2018 version.
So really, we need to see that new.
So
I mean,
Manny,
that's
the
not gonna-
2017 priority list is in this draft.
So in
TIP.
looking at this that you adopted last year,
Right.
See, that says 2015. That's where I'm confused.
okay, so this document is the TIP that you adopted in 2017, correct? So then, it's based on a priority you set a year before. So it's just kind of like you set the priorities, it takes them almost so many months to develop the TIP. So then in the one we present to you in August, we'll have the 2018 priorities.
Manny, if you bring up the TIP that is subject to public review, that has the 2017 priority list in it.
What?
So the only thing we can do is really bring it up early. I mean, bring it up next month. I don't see, this is kind of.
I'm not finding it. It's crazy.
That doesn't, yeah, not that I'm not interested, but I think this is very difficult to do it this way, and I think that in the interest of everybody making informed decisions and responding to Commissioner Mariano's the individual request, bring it next month, so we have.
Next one, we'll bring you the TA priorities, and then you can instruct us to move up projects or anything
Is
like
it just the TA priorities? Because Commissioner Starkey, the projects.
Just go ahead and
that
mail
you're-
it to us. Just go ahead and email me whatever we have right now. Would be
Whatever is,
wonderful.
yeah, whatever, you know, and give it to us in a format that we can hit the button and it comes up to us in an easy fashion, so we're not having to search for it, because if we're having problems with this and we have access to this all the time, I hate to see what the general
Because
public.
we know what Commissioner Mariano is going to do. We're
Okay,
going to
so
get
this is-
bombarded by emails.
So
That's
in your
okay.
draft TIP that the public will comment on, the board members will comment on, I have it on the screen. This is actually what you adopted on July of 2017. This is most up-to-date priority list.
It's
And
26.
in there, there's many modes.
Yeah, but, yeah, can you all see, I mean, this is a difficult way to do this.
I just wanted to, for instance, this is the list of, actually a map of all the TA priorities we have. What
Yeah, I keep
Commissioner
that in my
Mariano
office.
is talking about.
I don't know. Print out on my wall.
So what would you like to do? I mean, I know what I want to, I think is.
You take the lead.
Yeah, I think I mean, we can do this, but I think in fairness to the audience, the public that are here looking at this, is bring it to us, you know, you can either print out, email, however you want to do it. I think that the whole thing that's being commented on, and then at the next meeting, so if we have the TA portion of it or whatever else that Commissioner Starkey has, so that we can, as a board, give you firm direction, not just individual board members, but collectively give you direction.
Okay, so-
then that gives us the following month then, is we're going to, because what I'm hearing is then there's the one more month when we will actually do that have that full discussion, but at least it'll be a clear, we'll all be on the same page, singing from the same hymnal on what the projects are that we believe should be
So
on
if
there.
I'm hearing you right, next month, we will bring you an action item for the TA priorities. You will have in your packet the table and a map that you can visually monitor and direct us in if you want to move projects up and down. Because the priority that's set for those right now is based on a certain criteria. All the projects were ranked based on that criteria. But as you all know, ultimately the board can just wish to move anything up as you want, and we will do that. But
Right.
as staff, we're not gonna be able to move anything, because, ours is
We
based on-
understand that, sir. So I think that's what we're all, so there's some angst. I mean, we're opening up this public comment period so we can, I believe, take action and open the public. But yes, everything you just said.
Okay.
They bring it to us, we can look at the list, we can see it in front of us, we can make some educated, informed decisions about. And if we choose to, we do that all the time. I know we've done that several times and moved things up, and we understand that moving one thing bumps another thing or whatever, and having you here to explain the criteria and the requirements, obviously, we should be able to get it done if we have it in front of us and understand what we're looking at.
We'll do that.
Comments? I mean, help me out here.
No, so
Yeah.
since it's an action, I guess just make a motion, I guess, to continue it.
Well, the only thing, Madam Chair,
Yes,
we're
sir.
asking,
To open the
just to
comment
open
period.
the public comment on the draft transportation.
Yeah. Open the comment,
Draft
open.
meaning that it is subject to change, correct?
So we can do that.
So I would move that we
Then it's
open
subject-
that
okay.
public
As
period.
long as that's
for
part of the
draft
stipulation, that it's
transportation.
subject to
So
change.
let's have a motion, if the board would consider a
moved.
motion. We have a motion by
Second.
Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Oakley. Further discussion?
Well, it just seems like if there's a draft, we should be able to be looking at something.
I think we all agree with that.
So,
So I think we're all in agreement that next time, yes, it would be we already have 4 inches of material, another half inches.
So just to be clear, next June, we need to adopt a TIP. So if you all see anything wrong with the TIP that
We haven't seen it yet.
unfortunately you haven't seen in your packet, that it's available, we can mail it to
If
you.
we have it in our packet, then we all know that we should be reviewing it.
So if you want to look at it, because we need to address something that is, if you have a major comment, we need to address it ASAP, because June, we need to adopt the TIP.
So what I would encourage to Ally and Manny is that the individual board members reach out to staff to, I know there's been some voiced here, so at least you have
I'll
the heads
ask
up.
Mabel to send out the actual TIP document, so you don't have to maneuver around our website looking for it. We'll send you the actual draft.
That's what was
TIP.
suggested earlier. You can
We
email
will
it
do
as well
that.
as a printed copy, so we can do whatever, and we have it. And then I would encourage individual board members to reach out to you as soon as possible so that you are aware of what those comments or, inquiries have been today.
Okay.
Is that clear? And I know the list that was put out 6 months ago in our worlds, we've probably had, I don't know how many meetings,
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of exciting things, but I think, so not to be too hard on staff today, but I think that we just need to move forward and have that, and hopefully then we can come up with a plan that we all agree on.
We will do that.
So, we had a motion, we had a second to continue it in the draft form, understanding there's.
To approve it.
No,
To-
you approve to start
To approve the opening, right.
to the
Okay,
30-day
the public
comment.
comment. So did we have a motion and a second? I think we did. We didn't take the final vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that assistance. I was a little lost in that.
That's all right.
All right, well, hopefully, we'll be able to have some fruitful discussion next meeting. Thank you for your patience with that. Moving on to, where are we now? Pasco County Public Transit Report, and we have Kurt. Hey, how are you, sir?
How you doing? Kurt Scheibel, Public Transportation Director. And he's going to get my little thing up. Hopefully we'll be able to see it, because some of the stuff last time was hard to do. But I'll start off with, we have new maps. If anybody would like I handed out some to folks, but if you'd like to have a quick.
Yeah, why don't you send some up here? That would be helpful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moore did not, I don't know if you have any.
No, I've already approached
did?
him, and
Okay, okay.
he has looked at them.
All right.
Basically, if you notice, they're in color. They're also color-coded so that the things, if you just look at 14, you also notice that the colors go through. So if someone's going to the Cross Bayou, they see also what other buses on there. And if you go to the next slide there, Manny, or do I have a thing on it? This is what they look like when they're out. The one thing I wanted to notice is, I wear glasses. I wanted the fonts to be kind of big, especially for the actual time, so people can read it. But then when you combine it with this map here, I know it's kind of hard to see because of the technical difficulties. Between these two maps, you should be able to navigate across Pasco County. This is it'll be 11 by 17, but surprisingly enough, they could fold it down to a little thing about this big and about that thin, and then you'll be able to use those two as a complement to each other. We are working on bigger maps, like to put in the libraries, on the shelters, and so forth like that. And we should start seeing those come out within the next couple of months. But I think this is a big improvement to help people get around Pasco County on our system. Also wanted to kind of re-bring up the slides on how well we're doing. The TD, the Transportation Development Plan, is going good. We had over 1,200 people participate in the actual surveys, with a lot more discussions like we had the other day. Around here, some good things are coming out with it and the studies. But the things we're noticing is that the 19, 21, 24 are very popular. Unfortunately, the 18, 31, and 41 are not doing as well. And so we're looking at aspects of how can I translate my successes into the ones that are having some issues and hopefully getting there. We're really looking on 41. There's a couple high schools in that area that we're going to use, and we're actually going to go there and sell like the summer passes we got going on, and taking care of some of those issues with that. Saturdays is actually, some areas actually do better on Saturdays, and we're going to look at some of the aspects for that too. But again, the same three are having some issues, and we're seeing how we can leverage marketing, outreach, so forth to get some people, get them on our buses. Another thing we're doing, this is the old shelter outside of the West Pasco Government Center. That's what it used to look like. This is what it looks like now. Yes, there is something in there because you can see it from the shadows down there. People accused me of, no, there's nothing there. What we've done is we're starting a project now to change out the, let's see, oops, wrong one, plexiglass that is, to tempered glass like it's in your windshield of your car. It's actually tinted, so it actually reduces the amount of sunlight coming through and UV rays, so hopefully keep it a little bit cooler. But this is the first step on a project that we're going to replace all of it in there. And the thing I like about it better is that it's even cheaper than the plexiglass. And as you all know, people like to spray paint stuff, things like that. It's glass. I just scrape it off. The funny part is if someone etches into it, I did not know this until just recently, but you use toothpaste and a buffer.
Don't say it here. Oh, wait, you mean that cleans it up?
Toothpaste.
Okay.
And
I
a
don't
buffer
want to
like you'd use for your car, and it buffs it right on out.
Oh, okay.
The
I thought you would
scratching.
teach people how to etch on ours.
No.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Mariani.
I'm glad to see the improvements, but I'd like to see where the numbers are going to be as far as this project, because we're going to replace all the glass. I'm sure there's an expense to that.
I have budgeted out of my federal funding about $100,000. There's nothing to the county at all for that.
All right, but I mean, I've got so many spots that don't have bus shelters at all.
I also
And
have-
rather than go spending money on that, if I'm giving up money instead of building more shelters, I wouldn't mind discussing that item before you go spend 100 grand on what could be 10 more shelters somewhere else in the county, which could be a better service than worried about tempered glass or regular glass.
We also have money for more bus shelters going up. I haven't got the actual confirmation, but the 22 shelters that we started last year are actually going to be finished this time. And I'll be glad to sit down and talk to you about other places we need to put shelters on there, on our buses. And so the good news is that when you put it in the grants, it just says bus stop amenities, so I can flex that as to whatever your direction would be.
Commissioner Stark.
Well, I have some comments. I want to show you some pictures, but I didn't want to interrupt your presentation. So are you done?
No, I
Or-
got one more.
Okay, and then after that, I'll hold mine till the end, as far as
I've
shelters.
been touting it for a while, being able to see where the buses are on your phone. I just got the confirmation from our vendor today, just a little while ago, that it is now out there. The final things, they've done all their testing. We're going to actually start working it on Monday, but anybody can go out, pick up Route Shout, and be able to, it's hard to see, but the big page is up there. It says locate me, address, road, and favorites. I can actually say, and I know it says Porterville, my phone didn't scan very well trying to scan it on the thing, so I pulled something off that they had. It will actually say Pasco County down at the bottom, and then you hit locate me, hit the button, pulls the GPS in, and tells you where your nearest bus stop is.
Great.
Then you hit the next bus stop, it tells you it's, the bus will arrive at, scheduled to arrive at 10:10, it'll actually arrive at 10:09. So that is, it is actually, if you go out there and do Route Shout 2.0, and I'll have a better presentation next time, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of stuff.
We'll have a
But-
better camera too.
Yes, and then, but I will be able to give you some more information. The biggest thing that I'm looking at on that is I'll be able to give notices to folks, because people use this to get to work. And if we have a bus that's a little late or something like that, I can put out there, you know, sometimes buses don't start in the morning. I can say bus is running 5 minutes late, it will be there, and it'll also show up real time for them while they're sitting at home. They can look at it right then and there, pick it up, and then they'll be able to make the decisions that they need to make and be able to there, because not knowing when your bus is going to be there is like, when is this darn thing coming? I've been there, done that, and this will hopefully alleviate a lot of those questions. Where's my bus? What's it going? When is it going to be here? And what's the actual schedule that's going to be here?
That's good. I'm gonna call in. Oh, I can do it?
Is that the end of it?
That would be it.
So,
And
are-
yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So are we gonna be, we're part of Fairbox, right?
Yes, the Flamingo Fare Box, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I was, I'm on T-Barta, and we had our meeting in Manatee County, and their transit program presented to us, and I brought brochures, but unfortunately they're back in my office. I forgot to have Michelle put them in here. But I did want to show you a few things, and then at the next meeting, I'll give you a little bit about what they're doing. But I thought this was fantastic. This is their bus. These are what their buses look like. So they've got their county logo on it, and I just think those look so festive. And then this is what they're doing at their transit station. See, they've got the logo on there and the logo on the garbage. And I think of our bird, and I just think if we had that on our bus and on our bus stop, that could be very attractive. And they also have the app where you could tell where the bus is at any time. So I'm really glad we're moving to that. But what they have, and I don't know if they have it at every single one, but they have these screens in there that tell you where the bus is, real time.
That's actually our next step. Once we get everything with Route Shout working properly, the next step is to put like those airport scrolling signs on there that says this bus will arrive at this time at our shelters.
And, I just think that bus is so darn attractive. And then the other thing is they got a federal grant for a bus, their bus, I don't know what you call it, where all the buses are. Oh, it's huge.
For their building. Their new,
Yeah.
are you you're talking about their new facility? That they
Yes,
just
their new facility.
Yes. For $25 million, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, we would like one of those.
Well,
25 million terminal.
after we get McKendree going, that's actually one of the things we need on the west side. Is the next step is both a maintenance and an administrative facility because we've been growing.
Well, they got a federal grant for that,
Yes, ma'am.
and we'd like one too. So we
I would-
all need to help you get that.
Yes, ma'am.
The other thing they have, and sorry, I don't know how this works, is you would not believe what their bus stations look like in the urban areas. So in their little downtown, it's very cool. And they showed a picture of a couple of them. It's more than a shelter. It is it's a destination. And
They call them super stops.
yeah, do we have any
What
of
it
those?
is where you have a small building, usually where the customers can sit and get out of the rain, air conditioned or heated depending on the time. You'll also have like an airport style thing saying this bus arrives at this
Right.
time, this bus at this time. They usually put sawtooth, what's called sawtooth, which is kind of pull in and pull out. And then usually they're also incorporated with a small driver's room, so the drivers can go use it for breaks and be able to still see the buses, but they can go inside, grab a sandwich, grab some water, grab a Coke, and do anything else they may need there for while they're there. And then then at each of the little stops, if you really get to it, you actually have this bus will stop here and it'll be here at this time, signs also. We are looking into that, and that is something we, for the TD, the Transportation Development Plan that we're working on right now, that is something I discussed yesterday with our consultant, and I would love to do, like Trinity Hospital, that stop there on 54 in Little Road. Perfect place for it. We have 5, 6 buses that show up at the same time. They all can pull in, and then people that are waiting can go inside and get out of the heat.
Yeah, and I
And-
could see one in Wesley Chapel, and
Wesley
I just was
Chapel,
blown away
it's-
by their program, and they're smaller than us, right?
No.
Manatee?
They're actually bigger than us,
That's a
Manatee.
bigger county than us?
Not county, but their system's a little bit bigger.
Well, it got bigger because I think, maybe there's a reason it got, their system is bigger.
When you're done, yeah.
But I wanted to go back to the discussion about the bus stops at 54 on the Suncoast. Because I don't know, I know you said that those signs in the grass meet the requirements, but I would like to go above and beyond that. And I've asked you guys to look at that as you're driving down 54, 'cause that the people are standing in the grass on the side of the road with the glass. That grass is not cut very often. I sadly saw someone standing there in the rain, in the dark, a couple weeks ago. I tried to turn around and take a picture of it to show you, standing on the north side of 54 there by where the
The field
area is
is.
where you park. And before I could take a picture, a bus came and picked up that person. But I really, really want to see that bus go into the target.
We're looking
parking
at,
lot.
right now, we're looking at,
Both sides.
as you said, Commissioner, I believe earlier, the sidewalk moving around and maybe across to the parking lot.
I still
And
don't
then-
think that's a good idea. I think the buses need to go into the Target parking lot over there. I mean, you're standing on the side of a highway, a dark highway with no lights. And to get to the bus stop, you have to walk across the street in the dark. And, because how are people gonna safely get you to the bus stop and I ran into the wife of one of our employees who's using that bus stop, and it's incredibly dangerous and incredibly inconvenient. And I just really feel we need to rethink that and go back into the parking lot where you used to have it.
Well, the parking lot or on the side of the street, that's, pull it off of 54 is what you're looking for.
Well, you have to, if you're going west on 54, you have to go into the Target parking lot to pick them up, because they're on the north side of the road. You used to have it there, and then they took it back out to the sides of the road.
I will get.
Imagine standing on the side of 75 to get on a bus.
What,
Hello. Yeah.
you're
here.
talking about that, the one that's off on the north side.
They're both
I'll sit my,
horrendous.
I'll get my team on it. Would you be amenable to having it on the side road there, ma'am?
The side road.
Yeah,
Are you
if, man, if you
talking
scroll up a
about
little
there?
bit, please.
And then the bus would drive all the way in and turn around?
No,
In the-
not that one. Move the map south, please. And then move the map east, please. I'm sorry, the other east. Is that Crossing Boulevard? Would you be amenable to having something on Crossing Boulevard?
Yeah, just get them off standing on the shoulder of
And,
54.
I will get my team on that, and I believe we probably can do that pretty quick.
And that's for both,
Both sides, yes,
both
ma'am.
sides, yeah.
So I'd have the bus make the left-hand turn in there, flip to U, and come back out.
Because people, like some of the people that are using this stop that takes them down to Tampa or across, they get dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't, to drop them off on the side of a highway is not good for anybody. So then they get dropped off in the parking lot, and then they gotta walk somehow out there and then go into the grass, and it's just not.
The reason why I would say we do a crossing, because there's already a sidewalk on the east side, the correct east side this time, and be able to put something in that area, but I'd have to get with my team to see how far down we'd have to go, but to be safe. But let me get with my team, and by June, I'll have something for you.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Moore.
Yeah. You brought up some good points, about Bradenton, and I think one of the things, you correct me if I'm wrong, their system's so much bigger is because there's a lot of tourism there too, in that area, obviously on the beaches and such. And I know myself, we used to own a condo for years over on St. Pete Beach, and they had the trolleys.
Yeah.
It's not a trolley, it's a bus.
The Jolly Trolley? Is
It's
that what you're-
decorated like
Yeah.
a trolley,
Yeah,
right?
it is, yes,
They
sir.
got 'em on
But it's a
Anna
stigma,
Maria.
so unfortunately, some people have a negative stigma, there's a stigma of buses.
That is it.
But we take them, listen, when I go to, when we were in Cincinnati not too long ago, we took the buses. When we were at St. Pete Beach all the time, we take them from our condo, we take them up to Johns Pass and those areas on a regular basis. When I'm in Tampa, sometimes staying downtown Tampa, we take the quote trolley. You know, that is a trolley actually. But
Understand.
down to around that area, around Channelside and such. But when it's, you know, being on the tourist development, sharing that now, and how you're seeing tourism grow exponentially here in Pasco County, we need to be able to have options for those people. And destinations, whether it be Sun West on the west side, or to the ice rink, to our future rad sports, even to things like the breweries that are in the area. You know, when we have the people coming here and the families coming here, if they have some type of transportation and public transportation, they're gonna be more willing to go to these destinations. It's just a fact. You see it all over Orlando too. We've taken them in Orlando. When we go down to Orlando with the family and stay on Island Drive, we literally jump on the bus there sometimes too. It's just easier. You know, you don't have to pay for parking everywhere you go, right? But if we give those options, but you're right about, you know, you just take away that stigma of, oh, you know, it's an old dirty bus. Well, it's not. Those are nice buses. We have a lot of brand new buses thanks to FDOT and some of our grants that we have. But if you make it look appealing and more attractive, more people will probably be willing to get on them. You know, because we have so many people that are dependent on them to get back and forth to work every day. But at the same time, there's those off hours and those weekends where we can increase the ridership when it comes to the tourism aspect. But we got to have a way to get back and forth to those destinations.
Two things to get people on a bus is ease of use and cleanliness. It's been proven many times, and to keep them on the bus is reliability and cleanliness.
But that's something to think about too, is again, moving forward, is think about those destinations. Think about Center Ice. Think about the future rad facility. Think about Sun West. Again, we have stuff going on over at that, you know, the Guy Harvey situation, or the trade wind situation that's going to be going on there over on the west side. You have some breweries along 54. And I mentioned the breweries because they're a tourist destination.
Yeah.
We need to really think about that.
Yes,
Give our
sir.
options. It'll help us, you know, when it comes to tourism too, and help with the tourism department of promoting that to outside groups that are willing to come in here that, hey, we have transportation for you to these activities.
And that was the same conversation I had with my consultant yesterday about with the TDP.
Well, I'm your consultant now.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, sir. Yes, a lot of people take our buses for work, but we really need to start looking at what we call the choice riders, the people that are visiting, tourists, people that don't have to drive. I need to make them, the only way to really grow our system is to get those people on the bus. Because I go to New York, you can't find parking in New York. You take the bus or you take the subway, or you walk.
Or you take Uber now.
Or Uber. But still, I agree with you, sir. We do need to look at those options, and Pasco has those destinations that we should be looking at, and that is, I forgot about Center Ice, though, but I'm going to add that to the list.
Yeah, so I know we're running low on time.
Yeah, I was going to say, we need to wrap this up.
A lot of us have 12 o'clock appointments, actually, but maybe I'll bring you to the Tourism Development Council one day, and we'll get you on the agenda. We can talk about that a little bit.
Yes, sir.
In the future.
I'll talk to
late summer or fall.
Talk to Adam too.
Strategic planning and stuff like that.
Any other, Commissioner Adam?
Yes, I think great points. I've also seen elsewhere where they sometimes have these people that have these little shuttle-type vehicles, like oversized golf carts. They have advertising on them, and they shuttle here, shuttle there.
Free ride.
Free ride. And maybe if we kind of work to try to encourage them to come here, and I had one in West Palm Beach, I tried to actually get him to come over to Pasco County, and maybe he looked at it and decided it wasn't where he wanted to go. But maybe we could have partnered with those people, and maybe if we even took some of the capital costs from them and let them come in and work on getting their advertising, a little bit different than a more highly demographic area that would be able to support it better, but maybe it's some way to get them in here, get them going, and that could be a good way to go from like spot to spot, from event to event. Having said that, if you look at that, that'd be great. On the bus from 54 at the Suncoast, one thing I think we should look at, how much longer is the ride going to take if you're going to drive into the intersection, into the mall and come back out again?
They know, because that's where the bus stop used to be.
Okay, so let's take a look at that.
Couple minutes.
And maybe it makes even better if we bought more land and pulled the thing way off the road so they could be off, and then instead of having to drive in and out, they could actually put a bridge going across the swale that's there, so it's easy for them to get in there, and then they can do a little walking there, just as an alternative to take a look at.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're planning on doing. That's why we're around the corner. Yes, the bus route used to go in there, but it's a different bus route now. We're actually going to, we were having some difficulties maintaining reliability, and so we had to shorten some of the areas. That's why that was originally pulled out there. But I agree, that area needs to be really looked at hard, and I think moving it around the corner onto Crossings Boulevard might be the solution, and it may also be we pick them in a Target parking lot. Which way we go is, I'll get, like I said, I got a team. Go ahead, sir.
Well, there is a development coming to the left. I was actually on the phone with Bill Cronin as I was walking in the door. There's a Greenwise coming in a town center where Mr. Starnes is doing some development there on the former Benke Ranch, and I think you could put a transit stop in there. It'd be great, near restaurants and stuff.
I will find out what that is and make
but
sure.
that won't, it'll be ready in a couple of years. But so this would be temporary.
Are we good? In the interest of time, I know we're going to lose some folks here.
One
I
quick
think
comment.
they're, yep, go ahead.
Just on bus route 21, you've got a Hudson Beach stop on here, but you don't have Sun West on there. I know we talked about that a long time ago, adding that in there. I know it's about a mile in to come back out, so I don't know if that prevents that from happening, but
Where's that location again, sir, please?
Sun West Mine is just just north of Denton Avenue. Sun West Park.
What was the name again, sir? Sorry?
Sun West Park. I've mentioned it a couple of times.
It's kind of funny.
Sun West Park.
Calendar Girls. The bus stop would be.
I'll find it, sir. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Or
Anything else?
lollipops, or whatever it's called these days.
Anything else? And thank you for indulging. A lot of great conversation. I agree. There's a lot of great suggestions here to follow up that obviously aren't going to be settled today. Love the, actually Dade City, for those of you who don't know, is going to start a trolley going from little old Dade City all around. So we are very excited. So it's all about getting the feet on the street and moving them around. And in New York and in Boston, where I visit, I have my children there. You talk about cleanliness. It gets us, some of the things we don't go on are not that clean, but it gets us there. It gets us there very efficiently, effectively, and pretty inexpensively. So we got to start to be able to move all these people around safely, efficiently, and people looking for options, and that will keep bringing it in. So we look forward to follow up on some of these things that we talked about. And I too, I sit on the TDC. I'd love to see you come. I think that would be a very beneficial.
Yeah, I'll work with Adam and we'll get something going.
Perfect. All righty, with that, because I know I'm going to lose a couple of bodies up here, I know we're on status reports. Can we quickly go through some of these?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first one is we have the
Calendar?
BPAC agenda, the location, not the agenda, the locations of the
monthly
meetings. And then we have two hopefully brief presentations for you. One is on the Pasco County Pedestrian Bicycle Action Plan update. Ross, you want to start that? And then
Ross and Alex, yeah,
Alex
could
Henry
we?
with DOT will do.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, we got involved in all these conversations, but I do know there's at least another person leaving in a few minutes, so if we can kind of move through quickly.
Really quickly, county staff is working with FDOT on two projects that are going to be jointly managed by FDOT. The bicycle, update of a pedestrian safety plan done in 2012, and a new bicycle action safety plan. Alex North with District 7 can speak to that a little more.
Thank you. And just your name and address real quick.
Alex Henry, 315 East Ford Street, Tampa, Florida.
Great, thank you.
There we go. Good morning. My name is Alex Henry, and I'm representing the FDOT District 7 Traffic Safety Office. We, in partnership with MPO staff, are about to begin the process both updating the existing pedestrian safety action plan and creating a new safety action plan that is specific to bicyclists. So as we begin that process, we wanted to kind of give you an overview of kind of the purpose and the general process of what this is going to look like. So to start, kind of what is a safety action plan? A safety action plan is a strategy that's endorsed by the Federal Highway Administration that basically entails taking a comprehensive look at the crash problem that your community is facing, doing a deep dive into the data and using that to inform a data-driven process where you assemble a group of stakeholders from a diverse set of backgrounds and work together to identify both short and long-term improvements to address safety and also to discuss how to leverage interagency collaboration and resources. So we went through this process in 2012 when we created the initial pedestrian safety action plan, and a lot of really good work came out of that. But unfortunately, in the years since the plan's adoption, it's kind of hard to see the specific figures, but the trends of bicycle and pedestrian fatalities have been on the rise in Pasco County, and it's difficult to see from the graphic. But what we've seen is that bicyclists have progressively become more represented in that total number as well. So with that in mind, us and the MPO staff thought it may be a good chance to both revisit the pedestrian safety plan, update with the relevant information, take a look at what we proposed back in 2012, see what we've done, what we still need to do, and reinitiate the process with stakeholders to develop some new strategies to potentially drive down the number of crashes, and then also to develop a new plan that is specific to the safety needs of bicyclists. Although these will be separate plans, we do acknowledge that there is going to be quite a bit of overlap in between the two, and in order to eliminate as much redundancy as possible, we are going to be running these two processes concurrently with the same stakeholder groups, the same meetings, and all that. This is just a very quick overview of our tentative project timeline, and I'll go into a little more detail of what each of these steps entails. Right now, through July, we're in our crash data analysis phase. From the results of that, we'll work into engaging with our stakeholders. We will present kind of the findings of that to the public for some additional feedback, and then the final step will be presenting our draft reports to the advisory committees and then back to you all before we finalize. The data collection analysis process is what we're doing right now. The purpose of this is really to take a deep dive and identify specific trends that are overrepresented in the Pasco County crash data, whether there are certain types of crashes that are occurring more often than others, whether they be an intersection or mid-block, what are the type of facilities that these are happening on, is it your big multi-lane highways, or is there sidewalks, is there bike lanes, things like that. Are there any hot spots that we need to pay special attention to, clusterings of clashes, things like that. And then also taking a look at demographics as well. Are there people, certain demographic groups that we're seeing are overrepresented in the crash data that potentially we need to be focusing some of our educational and other resources on as well. So that's the process we're in right now. Once we're done with that, we will take that data and bring it to our stakeholder working group. Pasco MPO staff is working right now to develop a list of what that stakeholder group will consist of. It'll consist of stakeholders from local engineering, enforcement, education, also EMS components. And basically, we'll have a kickoff meeting where we kind of present the initial data, ask some questions to get the creative juices flowing, and then follow up with a workshop where we'll really roll up our sleeves and do a deep dive into developing different strategies and prioritizing them, and also getting into implementation. So talking about what are the resources that we need to move these strategies forward, what are some of the potential trade-offs and pitfalls that may result. After that, we did want to include a public engagement element to give the folks that are out there walking and biking around the county an opportunity to give their input and feedback, and also for an additional opportunity for stakeholders to engage. So we'll be sending out an outreach survey to the public, as well as holding a public workshop to give an overview of some of the initial findings from the data analysis and stakeholder working group. We'll compile all that feedback into the first draft of the plan, which will take around to all the MPO subcommittees for their comment and feedback, incorporate all that into the final draft, which we hope to present to you towards the end of the year. So that is a very quick overview of the process. There's my contact information, and Ross is going to be the point of contact for the Pasco MPO staff. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Thank you, sir. We look forward to continuing that on. I know I'm going to lose two folks here in a minute. I know we have districts, FDOT's been sitting here patiently for the Tampa Bay Next. Is it pretty quickly? Do we need to?
Yeah.
All right, come on in. Yeah, you've been sitting there patiently, Beatty. Thank you.
Brian Beatty with the Florida DOT. Just a quick announcement that it was mentioned earlier, the US 98 at Trilby roundabout that the department is going to put in. We're having a public workshop for that coming up on July 10th at 6:30 p.m. It'll be at Pasco Hernando Community College, the East Campus in Dade City. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Richard Moss. He's the new Transportation Development Director. and he's going to talk to you for a couple minutes on the TB Next update.
Good morning. Before we get started, as I was introduced, I'm the new Transportation Development Director. Bill Jones has gone over on to greener pastures, but if you need, my contact information as far as telephone numbers is the same as his, so if there's any issues that you guys need to bring to my attention, you can still use his information. We'll get you new information as we get on board. I've been on board for about 2 weeks, so we haven't been able to get all that information out to the public officials, and we're going to work on that coming up. I'm just going to give a brief overview of TB Next and where we're at with that. It's been about a year since we hit the reset button on the TB Next initiative. What we've done over the past year, roughly, we've held about 83 community events throughout the Tampa Bay region. We've gotten some subscribers to our social media. We've had some newsletters out there, and we've done roughly 76 presentations throughout the Tampa Bay region. And we've been working with the community on getting input back from them on what they would like to see as part of TB Next. We've gotten some really good feedback from the community on that, and we're working on that. And as far as incorporating that into the Tampa Bay Next, what we've really been focused on, and what we got back from initially what started the reset, the community wanted us to look at other options as far as in lieu of or in addition to some of the improvements we were going to do on the interstate system. A lot of the feedback we got back, they wanted to see transit. So we've funded some transit studies, and we're working on that, and we're also looking at some grants for the infrastructure for that. So we've been busy with that. We're moving forward with that as part of the TB Next. We're still, well, that slide didn't come out very good. This is the TB Next, essentially the managed lane or tolled system that we're looking at for the interstate modernization. We've got several projects. Gateway is underway right now in Pinellas County. That will be the first managed lane in District 7. We've got several other projects that we're working on. As far as the Howard Franklin, that's coming up this year. We will be letting that project and getting it started so that bridge will have managed lanes on it, and we will be working further to the south into Pinellas County, and also we're starting to look at I-75 with the managed lane system up to from essentially just north of Bruce B. Downs down to Moccasin Wallow, which is the southern limit of our district. One thing that we did want to bring to the board's attention is on I-275 north of the downtown interchange. We have removed the managed lanes from that section. We are also looking, as part of that removal, we're looking at several different options, including buses on shoulders and doing some additional operational improvements through that corridor to help the capacity through that corridor. Which we're going to be, is an operational improvement project, and that's in the future. If you hear that, that's what we're doing, essentially from the downtown interchange north to about Bears. So we've got some improvements that we're going to do there that's going to help. But that was on the north-south. Now, because we took it off on the I-275, we have focused our efforts on the I-75 corridor as far as moving forward with the managed lanes. Like I said, right now we're looking at Bruce B. Downs south and through the I-4 corridor, and then down further south into the South County. And then we've got some little updates we want to give outside of TB Next. The diverging diamond at I-75 and State Road 56, that project lets in June of this year, so we will be focusing our efforts on that. With that, it's a very innovative design. District 1 just opened their diverging diamond down at University Parkway in Sarasota, excuse me. It's working very well. People like it down there. We think it's going to help the traffic volume through the 56 I-75 interchange tremendously. I believe the construction time is about 2 to 2.5 years. So once we get started, it'll take us that amount of time to get it done. Then we have the State Road 52 corridor. We've got several projects that are either in construction or about to come to construction. We're letting 2 of the projects. The new Clinton Road extension will be let next June, as well as the State Road 52 from 41 out to Suncoast. So we're moving forward with those. Those both let in June of 19. So we'll be about late next year, we will be beginning construction on those projects, as well as the 41 project that goes south of 52.
I just want to mention that one project on 52, I don't think that's accurate.
Which
this
one?
Purple one, we don't have any funding for construction, actually.
One out to Suncoast? Yeah, the one, no, not the purple one, but the blue one, I think, from Suncoast to 41.
Right.
Yeah.
You do have funding or don't have funding?
We do not have funding for.
The one they're showing, the purple east of 41 to Aaron Cutoff, says
Yeah.
construction begins.
Yeah,
there.
that's a mistake.
There's no
We do have, we are letting this project and we're letting this project next year with the new alignment.
Okay, wait a minute. Which one does not have funding?
The purple, the one that one.
There's no funding for construction for that. Not
And we
sure.
thought we were going to start this fall and we have no money?
No, this one we do have money. It is funded for construction through 41 intersection. The 52 east of 41 to Aaron Cutoff, there is no construction funding.
That is correct.
Are we in right-of-way purchase or anything for it?
There is some right-of-way in there.
Because I'm looking at
maybe
this.
Design, but there's no construction.
Are we gonna get this PowerPoint? I don't think, I didn't have it in my packet. Is that, can you
We can
make sure
forward
we
it to
send
you,
that out?
yes.
I know Commissioner, we've lost several people, so if we can make sure we get that out to them, that would be
We'll send it out.
great, okay. Question, is it questions?
I know that was quick and
And I don't know where you got that, because I don't have that on there.
Yeah, I have this.
She's got stuff I don't
I
have,
have
but anyways,
this
it's
in my back
not a
pocket,
good,
and it shows,
Yeah.
it's called the Florida Department of Transportation
That-
Capacity Project.
Right. Those are regular TIP maps. We didn't have the presentation in time. We made out the packet. So we'll send it to you.
yeah, I didn't, yeah, so obviously.
So this
between us,
says
had a good
they're
meeting.
buying the right-of-way there between it says right-of-way 2020 to 2021.
Right. So they have just that, not construction fund.
But this is going from the it's really kind of confusing because it's got 2 sections that are both the same color, so I don't know where one is. So if you added the pink and the blue,
This
and
pink?
It goes all the way to 581. So it says from 52 Schrader Highway, from east of US 41 to west of 581 Bellamy Brothers, 2 to 4 lanes, right-of-way purchase in 2020 and 2021. Then there's another box that says from east of 41, 2 to 6 lanes, includes intersection IM improvements, SW, South, I don't know what that is, and 12-foot trail, right-of-way 2018, construction 2019, RRU 2018-2019. Are those correct?
You can read me the name of the second project. I can check here and see the second project you had.
The name of it?
Yes.
It says description, State Road 52, from west of Suncoast Parkway to east of US 41. And then it has a number, 2562231.
Yes, that project is funded for construction in fiscal year 19. So we'll be able to let after July on that one. I'm not
But
sure.
that's not on there.
That's this project, Commissioner.
Well, on mine it goes, oh yeah, okay, so it's from the Suncoast
Yeah.
to
From
40,
Suncoast to
to
east.
41.
It's the light blue one,
Boy, that
yes.
is a horrible map. It's our equipment.
Not only that, but Commissioner, I don't know if you have that either, but yeah, just make sure we all get, yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about because I don't have one to look at. It's not up there.
We'll
So-
provide you with copies.
Yeah, that would help.
Okay.
Okay. Are there questions based on what we have seen or heard today? And I apologize for our,
No, that's fine.
we're
We
dwindling
understand
down
the
here.
time.
But I do think that they need to get this information and they can follow up with you individually if they have them.
Okay. And
So-
we'll get those maps updated too to reflect
I
exactly
appreciate
what's
that.
going on.
Thank you.
Do you want to see it?
Thank you so much. Let me see, where are we now? We've got some meeting schedules. You want to just briefly just see what those are?
Basically, of the meeting, there's a TMA meeting tomorrow at Pasco County Utilities Building on 41. On your agenda, it says 8:30. It's actually at 9:30. It begins at 9:30.
Okay.
And we're actually heading there to set up the room for the meeting tomorrow. And also, we have the Wesley Chapel Roadway Connection Study scheduled for May 29th. And there's also the Tri-County BPAC meeting on May 23rd. And Collaborative Labs meeting May 18th. And we just wanted to advertise for its time. Tampa Bay would be the regional component of our outreach plan, set for May 17 at Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. And that's all.
Thank you, sir. This is the portion of our meeting of public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to address what's left of the MPO board at this time?
I do have one thing.
Yes,
I think it's
Stark.
very likely that we're going to be hosting T-BARTA here for the June meeting. So we'll let you know, but they're probably coming to Pasco for that meeting.
Oh, good. All right. Any other comments, questions? With that, during the meeting at 12:09. Thank you all.